I used to believe the one thing I never had enough of was time. My life was a constant blur of phone calls, emails, meetings, and deadlines. Every day I woke up with a list longer than the day before, and every night I went to sleep with the guilt of all the things I still hadn't done. People told me I worked too much, that I was missing the point of life, but I laughed it off. I thought hard work was the point. I thought success was worth every sacrifice. One rainy evening, I was running late again, late to a dinner with my sister, the first one we'd planned in over a year. I sprinted down the crowded sidewalk, dodging umbrellas and puddles, muttering under my breath about traffic and delays. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Another email, another message. But when I pulled it out, the screen was black. Dead. I groaned, already imagining my sister sitting alone at the table, rolling her eyes at me, just like always. That's when I noticed the small shop. It was tucked between a laundromat and a closed bookstore, a narrow place I could have sworn wasn't there yesterday. Its window glowed faintly, lit by the dim golden light of a single lamp, and on the door, painted in faded letters, were the words, timepieces, curiosities. Something about it made me pause. Maybe it was the strange stillness inside, or the way the rain seemed to hush as I reached for the door. The bell above it jingled softly, and I stepped into a room that smelled faintly of wood and old paper. Clocks of every kind lined the walls, grandfather clocks, pocket watches, cuckoo clocks, even modern wristwatches, but none of them ticked. Not a single hand moved. Behind the counter stood an old man with silver hair and sharp, knowing eyes. He wore a dark suit and a watch chain that glimmered faintly under the lamplight. He didn't greet me with the usual hello of a shopkeeper. Instead, he said, "You look like someone who's always running out of time." I laughed nervously. "That obvious, huh?" He tilted his head. "It's written all over your face. Always rushing, never arriving. Always busy, never present." I didn't know what to say. He reached under the counter and pulled out a small box, setting it gently in front of me. When he opened it, I saw an old pocket watch resting on velvet. Its surface was scratched, but the silver still shone. The hands on the dial gleamed faintly, as if glowing from within. "This watch," the old man said, "doesn't just keep time, it gives it." I frowned. "Gives it?" He nodded. "An hour, a minute, a second, yours to use as you choose. Stop time, rewind it, or borrow more. But be careful, time always takes its price." I wanted to laugh, to tell him I didn't have time for riddles. But something in his eyes stopped me. He was utterly serious. Against my better judgment, I asked, "How much?" He smiled faintly. "For you, nothing. Consider it. Alone." I left the shop with the watch in my pocket, the rain easing into a mist as I hurried to the restaurant. My sister was already there, arms crossed, glaring at her phone. Normally, I would have arrived breathless, apologizing for the 10th time. But this time, I slipped my hand into my pocket and pressed the watch. The world froze. The clatter of dishes, the murmur of voices, the drip of rain outside, all of it stopped. My sister sat frozen mid-sigh, her glass halfway to her lips. I looked around in awe, my heart pounding. Time had stopped. I walked calmly to the table, sat down, and let go of the watch. The world started again, as if nothing had happened. My sister looked up in surprise. "You're early?" For the first time in years, I smiled and said, "Yeah, early." That was the beginning. At first, I used the watch for little things. Freezing time to catch my breath, to finish a report, to sneak in an hour of sleep. I fixed mistakes, avoided arguments, impressed my boss. Soon, I felt unstoppable. Time bent to me. I wasn't late anymore. I wasn't behind. I was in control. But then, the cracks began to show. The more I used the watch, the stranger I felt. Sometimes, when I froze the world, I'd notice shadows move out of the corner of my eye. Figures that weren't there before. Once, I swore I saw the old man from the shop standing in the distance, watching me, though when I blinked, he was gone, and people started to change around me. My sister complained that I seemed distant, even when I was sitting right there with her. My coworkers joked that I never aged. A photo of my family, dusted it off, and stared at it until the sun rose. That was months ago. Since then, I've tried to live differently. I'm still busy, still flawed, but I don't race against the clock anymore. I walk slower, I listen longer, I show up. Because I learned the truth in the strangest way possible. You can't find more time. You can only make the most of the time you already have. And that was the last gift the watch gave me. Friend of mine said I looked tired, like I'd lived through years in just a few months. One night, unable to sleep, I sat with the watch in my hand and asked myself the question I'd been avoiding. If I was always stealing time, what was it stealing from me? The answer came sooner than I expected. I was walking home late, the streets empty, when the watch began to tick on its own. The sound was deafening, echoing in my skull. I tried to stop it, but the hand spun wildly, faster and faster, until I collapsed on the pavement. And when I looked up, the old man was standing over me. "I warned you," he said softly. "Time always takes its price." What do you mean?" I croaked. He looked at me with something like pity. "Every moment you borrow, you pay for. Not with money, with life, with meaning. You've skipped the small minutes that make you human, the waiting, the wondering, the living. You've rushed through your own existence." I wanted to scream that it wasn't fair, that I'd only wanted to be better, to have enough time. But the truth sank like a stone in my chest. I had wasted time even when I had it. And now, I was losing it faster than ever. The old man knelt, taking the watch from my trembling hands. "Time isn't yours to own. It's yours to live. Learn that before it runs out completely." When I opened my eyes, I was back in my apartment. The watch was gone. My phone buzzed on the table, and for the first time in years, I ignored it. Instead, I picked up the